everybody. Welcome back to a free agency edition of NBA Rundown. I'm here with Tyler Hicks. Tyler, how are you feeling about all these signings? Are you excited? And are the Lakers just going to win the title next year?
I mean, the Lakers look like they're, 12 deep with guys now? They got some three-point shooters. I like what they're building. We see Chris Paul's back in Phoenix. A couple other guys signed in new places that we'll go over, but it's been a fun free agency to start.
Yeah, obviously the big shock was the trade before the draft, and that was the Lakers adding Russell Westbrook. Didn't like that move, but as we said at the time, hey, there's more moves to be made, and the moves to be made seem to be happening now as the shooters are joining in to hang out with LeBron and AD and company. So what we are going to do, we're going off Real GM. We're going to just go off the free agent tracker, and we'll go in order of rankings. And I'll just go for Tyler. I'll give my thoughts and see what he has to think. Number one on the free agent tracker on Real GM is Kawhi Leonard. We don't really need to talk about a lot of his game. If you follow the NBA, you know how good Kawhi Leonard is. What do you think? Does he just run right back to the Clippers? Because that's what I feel like he's going to do.
I mean, that's what we would think, but we're talking about a guy who doesn't talk to other human beings. So would it surprise you if he signed with Dallas?
Yeah, I know,
Not
right?
really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he ends up back in the Clippers. I think they had that wink wink relationship. He gets all those extra benefits if he comes and signs with them. So I don't see why he'd leave.
Let's just move right on then. Chris Paul, 4-year deal worth $120 million. I listened to some Dunked On today, and they were talking about, hey, that up to doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get. There could be a team option there on the fourth year. The fourth year could not be guaranteed. Could be a lot of incentives there. But long story short, regardless of how the salary cap works out, Chris Paul is back with the Phoenix Suns. How do you anticipate Phoenix to do next year with the return of Chris Paul? And I mean, we'll just go over it now, right? They also signed Cameron Payne, and they signed JaVale McGee.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be a playoff team again, but all the other Western Conference teams are going to catch back up this year, so I don't think they make the finals again. That's a lot of money to give an aging point guard.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that way, right? But the guys turned back time, right? We thought this was the worst contract 2 years ago when he went to Houston, and now it's a much better contract. So, but this is obvious stuff. Let's get into some of the other ones. John Collins is number 3rd on Real GM's tracker, and he has not signed yet. And unlike Kawhi, I think it's I think it's up in the air. I think that you can make a fair case for any of the teams that Real GM went ahead and added as the most likely destinations, and that was Atlanta, Dallas, Miami, Minnesota. And I've been reading a lot that they are big on Collins, which is crazy because I don't know how well he would fit with Cat. And then, of course, the Spurs, and that fit seems to make sense too. What do you think about John Collins? Where do you think he ends up?
I think he'll go back to Atlanta. I think they offered him 5 years, $115 million today.
Oh, they did?
He accepts that by the end of tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think they run it back. I mean, after the Eastern Conference Finals, I think you don't take your chance at going somewhere else thinking you're going to get to the finals, especially with the teams you just listed.
Right, and I think that if you're the Atlanta management side, if you didn't have the success you had last year, you say, hey, do we want to put ourselves in a spot, if they lost in the first round, do we want to be capped out with not a lot of flexibility? But when you made the Eastern Conference Finals, I think it's okay to run it back and not be as worried about the cap ramifications. So I agree with you there. We'll see where he goes. Let's talk about. I can't believe this guy was the most desired free agent here, and I like Kyle Lowry. Right, he's number 4 on Road GMs. He joined the Heat, 3-year, $90 million deal. They added PJ Tucker as well. So let's go ahead and talk about both those additions. They basically just added defense. What do you think of this team? I'm back and forth. At first, I was thinking, I don't know if this really pops them like, everyone else is thinking. But then I started thinking on defense. They are going to be brutal here. If Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero can find some of that 2020 form, they could be really lethal. What do you expect from the Miami Heat?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a defensive juggernaut. But I mean, those top two teams in the East are just so strong. I think they're still in third place behind the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Like we have seen with Lowry, like everyone wants to compare Lowry to CP3 with his last run,
Mm-hmm.
but people don't know CP3 like changed his whole diet, started taking care of his body, was
Yeah.
basically on like a not a minutes restriction, but they watched his minutes and he didn't play a lot. So where Kyle Lowry was playing deep minutes for the last like what 4 or 5 years. So I mean
Yeah.
the miles have piled up on his legs, and he's not on like a vegan diet like CP3 is, taking care of his body. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens there.
Yeah. So I mean, so gun to your head, like what place do you think that the Heat would finish now with these new additions? They
Third in the
were
East.
sixth last year in the East. Do you think they go to third?
I think they go to third. I think six was. I think they could have been in third last year, but with all the COVID they dealt with, that
Yeah,
didn't help them.
they definitely had a rough time. But Milwaukee spanked them. Now with PJ Tucker on another team, assuming Milwaukee doesn't make that many moves, because I mean, what a trash ownership! What trash ownership! It's absolute trash to allow PJ Tucker to walk for the amount they did. I can understand if they gave him 2 years, $50 million. Okay, fine. We're not going to pay $25 million for PJ Tucker, but at that price and the way the salary cap works, you can't go and get someone else because that was your bird rights. So you can go over the salary cap rights for the birds, not to bring someone else in. Disgusted with Milwaukee. I'm so glad that that future's over and they don't have to be my team anymore. But if they were to meet now with Lowry and PJ Tucker, do you think the Miami Heat would win that series?
I mean, seems like Milwaukee was on a mission this year to take Miami out after the bubble. So
Yeah, I
I probably
know.
still
So I'm
take
wondering,
Milwaukee.
do you think they come in complacent, or do you think Milwaukee still gets it done?
I think Milwaukee still gets it done.
All right, that'll be interesting because yeah, I mean, we can argue about whether or not they're contenders, but there's no way we can say that they're not improved from last year. And boy, Tucker on that team, that's just going to be fantastic here. Lonzo Ball, I think this was fantastic move here. He ended up on the Chicago Bulls, right? Because it doesn't list it on my row GM, but I'm remembering right. He's a Chicago Bull now, along with Alex Caruso, and they've called them Caruso on Twitter. Okay, that's pretty clever. What do you think of the defensive improvements? I personally love it. I personally love it. Give me two defenders next to Zach LaVine. I think it's fantastic. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it too. I think it's a perfect spot for him. I mean, he's going
For
to have the
both of
ball in
them,
his hand
right?
most of the time now. He gets to
Yeah,
set up Zach LaVine, and they also
yeah.
added DeMar DeRozan to play some more defense and hit some mid-range shots.
That's just
So I mean, I
wild.
definitely think they punched their way into the playoffs this year. I mean, what's that starting lineup going to be? Zoe, Levine, Patrick Williams, DeMar DeRozan, and Vucevic.
Yeah.
That's definitely a 6 to 8 seed. Maybe even they sneak into the 5 seed.
And then you got Caruso, Kobe White coming off the bench. They lost Thad Young, who was a nice player for them. But I'm trying to think. Did they? Who was the
But they're
center?
still holding on to Laurie Marketing, which
He's gone, right?
they had Daniel Tice coming off the bench, but he left. He went to Houston. They said they're going to deal
That was
Marketing, but he's
weird
still on
too.
their roster as of right now.
Yeah, I don't think Markin is coming back personally. I think it's going to be a sign and trade like Lonzo. You know.
Yeah. I thought
So
he was going to be a part of that trade, but he wasn't. Then I thought he
yeah,
was going to be a part of the DeRozan trade, but he wasn't there either.
yeah. Wonder where he ends up. So that'll be quite interesting. So new. Obviously, we don't have numbers to specifically bet against, but where would you put the Bulls now? I say they're in the 6 to 8 range
What, to
for the
win the
seed. They'll be at the
championship?
six
Or
to eight seed.
oh yeah, it's for the seeding. Yeah, somewhere from 6 to 8. Maybe they jump up because I think the Knicks fall down from that 4 seed. So one of those teams are going to have to jump into the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, sorry guys, we're really bouncing all around here, and I do want to get in the Knicks, but we'll continue to go in order. This is going to be quick. Jared Allen agrees to return to the Cavs. 5 year, $100 million deal. They probably overpaid for him. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'd
don't
say
know.
a
Like,
little
what
bit
do we
too
even say
much,
about the
but
Cavaliers, right? I mean,
yeah.
they're gonna be in the lottery next year, right?
I mean, that's a weirdly built team, but would it surprise you if it worked?
Yeah.
Two big men over 7 foot. Mobley can kind of move and play the 4. They might have the paint on lockdown this coming year.
Well, they looked good when they had Drummond last year. Remember at the very beginning we were riding them?
Yep. And now they
Yeah.
have Rubio to complement the other two guards, and they can kind of stagger them. And
Well,
he can just
Sexton's
set
gone,
up.
right? I mean,
Well, they say he is, but again, there's been no deal yet. He was supposed to get dealt on draft night. He didn't.
yeah.
So if he's there at the beginning of the year, he's going to play.
Yeah, I'm really I'm not counting on Sexton being there. And we talked a little bit about it, but now it's official. Mobley's on the Cavaliers. How do you think he fits in with that team? I think he's going to be good. I think it's going to take about 3 years though.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll take a couple years for him to reach his full potential, but I think we'll see glimpses of it this year.
Yeah, well, you'd like to hope, right? So, all right, that was quick, painless, easy. Jared Allen. Here's another easy one. Mike Conley returned to the Jazz, 3 years, $68 million. Not really much to say. Jazz are still going to be in the top 4, right?
Yeah,
That doesn't really
keeps him in
change
the
a lot.
playoffs. That's about it. It's not like pushing him over the top.
I was talking to my buddy. Talking to a buddy about it. Even if Conley left, I mean, do you really think the Jazz are not making the playoffs?
No, they would just go out and get a cheaper point guard and plug him in that role just so they don't have to start Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, it would just be like if he left, they would just maybe move down a couple seeds. Maybe be instead of 1 to 4, they're 3 to 6.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. All right, let's go on. We just talked about DeRozan on the Bulls. I think that's a good move. The only thing I'm worried about is I like that they add Caruso and Lonzo for defense, and now in DeRozan we got another shooter they can't defend. Do you think that's going to be an issue there, Tyler?
I mean, it could be a little bit of an issue, but we'll see what Billy Donovan does with that system and how he sets up his guys.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And DeRozan's a guy that can make it work. This should be a fun one. Number 9 on the Real GM big free agent board. Spencer Dinwiddie, yet to sign here. Most likely not going back to the Nets, even in a sign and trade. That makes their luxury tax ridiculous. So I'm assuming he's going to move on. That left the Bulls, who seem to be out now. My guess would be after all these moves that they're kind of out. The Pelicans makes sense. Knicks makes sense. Thunder, how did they sneak on here? Why would the Thunder sign him? And the Wizards, which makes a lot of sense. I think he's going to go to Washington. What do you think?
I think so too. I think they said yesterday he was nearing a deal with Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, you could basically throw the other two teams off the list too, New Orleans and New York. New Orleans traded a first-round pick for Devontae Graham and paid him. He's not going
so
there.
It's like New Orleans shouldn't be on there.
And the Knicks spent all their money on Evan Fournier, Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson, and a bunch of no-names.
All right, we're going to table that for now, but I'm sure you're going to be fired up when we get to it because I'm not even a Knicks fan, and that's disgusting. Tim Hardaway Jr. returns to the Mavericks. Not much to say there other than I'm surprised he got another 4-year, $72 million deal.
He was getting whatever he wanted because of how he shot the ball, though.
Yeah, well, he'll be back on the same team.
His three-point clip was so high, they were just like, whatever you want, you're coming back.
I mean, you got to put shooters around Luka. You got to put shooters around Luka. Yeah, not a bad move. I honestly, to me, that's like the biggest, most neutral move there is. Let's talk about Dennis Schroeder here. The Bulls, the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Raptors are the teams that Real GM thinks that he's going to go to. I think this guy's wildly priced himself out of the market. From what I understand, he's not too popular with teammates either. This has been an issue with him. And why, even though he puts up good numbers, teams are ready to move on from him pretty easily. Supposedly, he's just a bear. Like, he acts like he's like LeBron, acts like he's like the best player on the team, which I don't think goes over well with the real best players on the team. Where do you think Dennis Schroeder ends up?
I think he stays right where he's at.
No way.
I don't think anyone gives him the money he wants, and they have his rights in the as a free agent. He's just gonna walk back there on a 1-year deal and go play one more year there. And their bench is going to be stacked.
I mean, I don't really know what more he could do. Obviously, he didn't do too well in the Phoenix series, but I mean,
the only other team on that list that maybe gives him some money is the Raptors. I mean, the Knicks have nothing left.
The Raptors are just too smart a franchise, though, right?
Yeah, they're not going to give.
If they were a stupid franchise, I'd be like, yeah, but they're not.
They're the only team that has the money on that list to give him money.
Yeah,
but it's a thing. I don't think they'll do it. But after the draft pick they made, I mean, They might give him the money. Taking an athletic guy who can't shoot threes over one of the best point guards in the draft.
I was thinking about that while I was out hiking today, and I was thinking that's what being a good franchise gets for you, right? Because if the Kings make that pick and you leave Jalen Suggs on the table for Scotty Barnes, I mean, you are just the laughing stock of everything, right? When you're Masai Ujiri and you make that pick, guys like me go, well, he knows what he's doing. Like, maybe I'm missing something here, right?
Yeah,
but yeah,
like,
I still can't believe
pick,
that.
But it's like, it's this guy, so he might have made the right pick. But
yeah,
I
know.
still think it's the wrong pick.
I personally do too. I mean, yeah, I think
the one now. Fred VanVleet, Malachi Flynn.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. So we will see. Obviously, they're pretty impressed with Barnes' athletic ability, but it was like, I don't know. The guy can't shoot. I mean, this is the new NBA, right? Norman Powell, 5-year deal, $90 million, probably overpaid, but I think the Blazers had to do that after giving up the younger, more promising Gary Trent Jr. in order to acquire Powell. Not really much to say here. Slight overpay, but better than the alternative. Would you agree there?
Yeah, I agree. You had to bring Dame back, whatever help you could, because you're not bringing any in. I mean, you got to re-sign the guys you got, and I'm pretty sure they used the rest of their cap space on Cody Zeller, so can't see that going well over with Dame.
What are they doing up there in Portland? It's just wild.
Trying to make them demand a trade.
I mean, the funny thing was they could have got so much stuff. I mean, I would get rid of him too. He's going to make like $50 million when he's 35. I would get rid of him right now. They're not going to win the title next year. He's got 2 years left on that deal before it's a negative exit. He's going to make $50 million at 35. And he's essentially just going to be a shooter at that point. So we will see what happens there. Will Barton returns to the Nuggets. That's not really a big deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just another role player for the Nuggets.
Yeah. Whoop-de-doo. Kelly Oubre has yet to sign. Rumored that he wants his first. I still can't even believe this guy's picture. This guy, Kelly Oubre, what a guy. Dallas Mavericks, Golden State Warriors, Miami Heat, New York Knicks, and San Antonio Spurs are all the rumored or preferred destinations. I'm hearing Spurs. I think he fits well on the Spurs. The only thing is, will it be a sign and trade, or will he just move straight out? What do you think? Am I too Popovich focused here? Do you think he ends up somewhere else?
No, I mean, I think the Spurs is a good fit for him. I'd love to see him in Dallas, so give Luka another toy to throw the ball to.
Yeah, that would be cool, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder if he would fit though, because he didn't really fit as a spot shooter. He's more of a cutter slasher.
I think
he didn't fit with the Warriors at all.
Luka will find him that way. He doesn't have to just shoot threes.
Yeah, I wasn't really impressed with his catch and shoot. He didn't really seem to fit the role that well that Golden State brought him in. It seemed like Phoenix the year before used him to his full abilities, and that their system, the Monty Williams system, fits a lot better. That read and react pick and roll works a lot better than Kerr's motion offense for Oubre. So the one thing I'd say is he's not going back to Golden State, which is too bad because I really thought he was going to be good when the Warriors signed him, and the fit just wasn't there. Fit is so important. Let's talk. Okay, the next two teams, we get to trash our own favorite teams. Let's start by trashing your favorite team. What are the Knicks doing? I like Fournier, and we talked about it on the rundown this year that we wanted to bet on Orlando before he got traded, right? When he played and when he was out, we were fading them, right? He's a good basketball player, scores, and was very crucial to that offense. 4 years, $78 million. What are they doing?
They must have watched that France USA game and thought they were getting that on a nightly basis.
I don't believe it.
I just love the way they built up all the cap space over the past 5 to 6 years.
Just
for the last 2 years, they were doing the 1 year rentals, which made sense. Like, don't sign these guys.
I don't mind those.
Deals.
Yeah,
that's it. I love those deals because you get them
1 year, $20 million. I wouldn't even get mad.
Yeah, because he's gone next year, even if he sucks. Yeah, you're stuck with this guy now.
Yeah,
and you just cleared all your cap space for a guy who can just shoot threes. I knew they were going to do this though. After the way they lost in the playoffs, they couldn't shoot. They got pretty much boxed in by the Hawks. It's like one of the better shooters out in the free agents. They were like, yeah, just give him whatever he wants.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
I listened to a podcast and it was a Boston fan, and he was praying that they didn't pay Fournier. And the other person on the podcast goes, don't worry, the Knicks will. And look what happened.
I mean, unbelievable here. Let's talk about the other Knicks moves. They brought Derrick Rose back. You have to like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, as long as he keeps up the high level of play.
What did Noel get without me scrolling down too far? I don't
$10
know.
million a year as a backup center who couldn't play in the playoffs.
But $10 million in this new cap is nothing, right?
I mean, to a point, but as a backup center that can't play in the playoffs, I wouldn't have gave him that.
I don't mind $10 million a year. I don't mind $10 million a year for Noel. I would take him in Sacramento on that contract. And now let's go to Sacramento. What a wacky draft we had, but trashing the Kings is like beating a heavy bag. It's just too easy. But this is the surprise. Rashaan Holmes resigned. Why does he do that? He had an opportunity to go to like all these awesome teams. Why
Couldn't
would
he
you
get
stay
more
here?
money from you guys?
You don't think someone else would have given 4 years? If Fournier got 4 years, 78, he only got 455.
I mean, what was he? The best true center on the board.
Yeah.
Maybe we're thinking the big man means a little bit more than the other teams do.
Obviously.
They were looking at the guards more.
I mean, I think he would have helped Charlotte. He would have helped Dallas. He would have helped so many teams. I mean, it's just unbelievable here. I mean, obviously Utah.
Well, Dallas
Phoenix
got
don't
their
need
new
him.
center.
Who?
They got him for cheap. Moses Brown.
Oh, and that was a great pickup.
That's a sneaky good pickup. That's why they
Yeah.
didn't pay this guy. You want Moses Brown on $1 million deal, or do you want Rashaan Holmes on what? A $20 million deal?
Yeah, I mean, because that's probably what you'd have to get him to get to move, right? You'd have to be at least 460.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, hey, the Kings did something right. You know, hey, you know.
And they could use him as trade bait.
It's like when the roulette wheel lands on green, right? It happens, you know, 1 in every 50 times. They did something right. So, good for Sacramento to actually do something there. Josh Hart is still on the board. He's someone that actually Kings fans want. And they don't even have any teams interested in him except for the Pelicans. What do you think happens with Josh Hart?
I'm not sure. I don't think he's a restricted free agent, but I think he might end up in Brooklyn. I think that'd be a nice fit for him off the bench shooting threes.
Yeah.
It'd be him and Patty Mills off the bench for them. And after watching what the Lakers just put together, Brooklyn better build a bench.
Oh, for sure. We are not going to argue about that. Duncan Robinson, here's a guy that I thought was going to be more sought after. 5-year, $90 million deal. I mean, that shows you how the premium of shooting is, because that's all the guy does. Can't defend.
Biggest
can't
contract
dribble.
ever for an undrafted free agent.
Can't defend, can't dribble, can't rebound, doesn't pass very well. And I still think it's a good contract. That's how important shooting is. What did you think?
I mean, just like you said, we thought he was going to be one of like those guys everyone called. Miami didn't give everyone a chance to call him because they said, here's your 5 years and whatever you want.
Yeah. So
when you could shoot the ball like that, I think you just have to keep him. Like the dude could run around screen. He could run from one side of the court to the whole other side, grab the ball on the screen and shoot it and make it. And he barely needs any space. If the defense even comes together a little bit, I mean, I'm not going to say he's an elite player, but 3-and-D is probably the best one in the league if he could play some defense.
Yeah, South Beach, buddy, healed right there, right? Just shoot, and that's it. But, hey, in the new NBA, there's a spot for that. So, kudos to the Heat for not letting this guy get away.
What a better team to hide their shooter than Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, P.J. Tucker, and Bam.
Yeah. I mean, you know, hey, you said it perfectly. Taylor Horton Tucker returns to the Lakers, 3-year, $32 million. Not too surprising because of the bird rights. That's the only way they can go over the cap. He provides them youth, scoring. Another guy, right? Although he's not the three-point shooter, pretty much all he does is score, right? I haven't watched a lot of him, so forgive me if I'm wrong, Lakers fan, Jonathan Nelson in the chat. Maybe he's a good rebounder. Maybe he's a good passer, but I know he's not a good defender. I know that. I know that from my tape study. He's not a good defender at all. So still, $10 million a year. These are just guys that fill out your roster, and they just need to be good at what they, what they're good at. They need to be exceptional. I think Horton Tucker kind of fits this role here, as I think he's going to be a great scorer for the bench unit for $10 million a year.
And he kind of gets hidden on that bench now, too, with all the other guys there, to where last year it was kind of like once the bench came in, it was like, he's going to be the guy that kind of does their offense for them. Now he's probably their second or third option once that bench unit comes in. I think that'll help him tremendously.
Yeah, I think so too. So, I mean, there's really not a lot to say about that. It was a no-brainer. Another seemingly no-brainer because when you give up assets, you need to justify it. Trent Jr. re-signs to the Raptors, 3 years, $54 million. Makes sense to me. No-brainer. Anything to say, or we just move on?
Yeah, no brainer deal. We just call those the
Yeah,
Laramie Tunsil deal from the NFL. When you trade so much for a guy, you have no
yeah.
choice but to re-sign him, or you're just wasted everything.
But regardless, I don't even think that's a tough contract to sign. 3 year, 54 for a guy with his
I
skill
don't think
set.
that's bad
Yeah, I think it's
compared to
not
what
even like.
Fournier got.
Yeah, I would rather have Trent, wouldn't you?
I'd have Trent 10 times out of 10.
He's younger. Like Fournier's probably a better scorer, but that's it.
But the
Trent's not the
defense
best
Trent
defender.
brings, but he brings way better defense than
It's
Fournier.
better than Fournier's. Fournier's is below average. Yeah, I think that's a great deal for Toronto. I love this. I love this move here. 21 on Road GM's board is Devontae Graham. He is now going to be a member of the New Orleans Pelicans. I think he fits fantastic next to Zion. They might have gave up a little too much, giving up a first round pick. Okay. Regardless, for our for our handicapping for next year, he makes the Pelicans better. What do you think?
I'd rather have Lonzo. That's just my opinion because
I agree because he
I would
defends.
have. He defends.
He passes.
I think he fit better next to Zion because he sets him up better. To where I could see Graham kind of looking Zion off and just chucking up threes like he was doing in Charlotte.
Yeah, and
That's
when
my
you're
only
looking
worry
off
there.
Biombo, it's not an issue.
Yeah, but
When you're looking off Zeller, go right ahead, young man. Don't look off Zion.
Or he might even look off Brandon Ingram a few times and take him off. So
yeah,
we'll see how that fit works.
Yeah, I personally like it. Tyler doesn't like it that much, and we'll have plenty of time to hash this out. So you don't think this improves the team? So like, if you had their win total set at like 38 or 39 next year, would you keep it exactly the same after the trade, or would you knock it down?
I'd probably keep it the same.
Yeah,
because they would probably already have the number factored in that Lonzo was leaving.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I think we got to talk about the Pelicans. Stan Van Gundy, he's a cool guy. He's funny on Twitter. He's not a very good coach anymore.
No.
I mean, whoever they bring, I can't remember. They brought, I think, a guy named Willie Green.
Willie Green, he used to be the shooting guard on Philly.
Yeah, and supposedly he's really liked amongst the players.
Yep.
Just that, I think, is going to be an upgrade. So, interesting to see. So Tyler doesn't like the Devontae Graham move. I thought it was a little better here, but he does make some good points as far as when you compare it to Lonzo. We had already discussed Derrick Rose earlier. That's a good get for your team. We discussed Noel. I don't think that's a bad deal. Anything 10 million or below, I don't really mind because it doesn't eat up my cap as long as you do your role. But Tyler thinks he overpaid for a backup center. And I think Nate Duncan would agree with you. You know my favorite podcaster because he always feels that those centers are the most replaceable players, like running backs. That just your average guy is going to give you pretty close to the production. So if you're going to pay, the idea is you better pay for excellence here because there's just so much average floating around there. So Tyler's on the Nate Duncan tip for that. I don't mind giving Noel that amount of money. JaMychal Green's returning to the Nuggets. A little bit surprising, but obviously helps the team. Bruce Brown returning to the Nets. If you've already been on the team before, there's not really a lot we can say. You already know what Brown's role is going to be. You know what JaMychal Green's role is going to be. I think these are both good deals. JaMychal Green, 2 year 17. Bruce Brown, 1 year 4.7. So, but neither handicap the cap. Both solid players that know their role. Mr. Reggie Jackson, the man who really inflated his value there in the playoffs. Haven't heard a lot about Jackson yet, though. Maybe GMs are getting hype and just getting it going off for a couple series doesn't mean you get $100 million. What do you think about Reggie Jackson?
I think he does the same thing Cam Payne did. We both thought both these guys made themselves so much money in the postseason. And Cam Payne turned around and said, "I'm staying right where I'm at and taking a pay cut."
Yeah.
And not chasing the money because I play well in this system. They use me right. And other teams wanted to throw me away like I was nothing when I played for them. Reggie Jackson played perfect in the Clippers system last year. I think he's going to say, I'll take a little bit less money, and he's going to stay right where he's at.
All right. I don't really have a strong opinion on that, but I'll tell you what, that sounds pretty solid. We talked about Caruso earlier joining the Bulls. 4 years, 37 though. What do you think? Pretty good deal, or do they overpay?
I mean, they might overpay a little bit, but he does bring a nice energy off the bench. Him and Kobe White will be a nice backcourt off the bench too. So
I like that they'll be able to go Levine, Lonzo. So you got one good defender, and then you can go Kobe, Caruso, and then you've got
you
the
can
same thing, a
interchange those
scorer and
guys.
your defender. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So good move by the Bulls there to pick them up, and the Lakers lose their fan favorite. Campaign was the next on the list, and we had just talked about him. So let's go down to what I thought was kind of a head scratcher. At 29 on Real GM's board, Doug McDermott. 3 years, $42 million for a shooter. And we've had a couple of these on the list so far, Tyler. What does Dougie McBuckets do besides shoot?
Nothing.
Yeah,
That's
unbelievable.
I just can't believe the Spurs gave him that much money.
I'm in shock too. I don't mind the pickup. If it was like 330, okay.
Yeah,
I think they way
342 is a little
overpaid.
much.
They way overpaid. Yeah. That's an overpay. We agree on that. Blake Griffin coming back to the Nets. Don't really have much to say about that. George Hill got waived today. Where do you think he ends up? And does he have anything left to offer? Because I'll tell you what, he was on the Kings a couple years ago. He was terrible. I didn't really think he did a lot for Philadelphia last year. I'm not really excited if I'm a team to bring in George Hill unless like an injury situation just ruins my depth. What do you think about George Hill here? And am I being too harsh on him because he screwed my hometown team?
No, I think he's pretty much like on his last leg, if that. He might be done.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think he sits in free agency until an injury occurs. I don't think somebody gives him a roster spot right off the bat.
Yeah, or maybe like a mid-level for one of those teams just trying to fill it out, like the Lakers. But after the Lakers came with all those people today, not a good sign if you're George Hill or his agent. This was a weird one too, just because of their draft picks. Tice, 4 years, 36. I don't think that's an overpay for what he does and what he brings to the table. I just think that he doesn't necessarily fit with the draft picks unless our guy Garuba's not coming over. What did you think about this deal? And am I wrong? Is it an overpay?
I think it's a little bit of an overpay, but I think they use him as the starting center and bring some of the younger guys off the bench. Like I think their starting lineup's probably going to be something like
Tice
John
and Wood.
Wall. Yeah, it'd be those two, John Wall, KPJ, and Jalen Green. And then you let the other guys come off the bench. Saying Garuba or your two big men off the bench. Gordon, if he's still there, is one of your guards / forwards. I think that's the way to rotate that team.
All right. And there's also, rumors around that with them making this signing, this is indicating that Garuba might spend another year over in Spain. And that might be the reason. And I'm not sure the exact rules on that. I think it's good for the Rockets because I think if he comes over next year, his rookie deal starts next year. So it's almost like, a draft and stash, and you bring him over, and then, it's not like you're missing out on all this good time of having a cheap, effective player there. So something to keep an eye on. Maybe Garuba does not make the leap over here this year. Dwayne Dedman back on the Heat. I mean, does that mean anything to you?
Nothing. Probably doesn't even really see that many minutes unless someone gets hurt.
Yeah. Drummond, the Sixers. What?
This is just another Sixers knock on the rock head. What are we doing? Move. Let's add another guy that can't shoot the lineup.
Remember when Daryl Morey was like a good GM? Now he's asking for like.
Yeah, the Ben Simmons trade.
It's like if I offered you a Whopper for like $30.
Yeah, it's like I'm not paying for that.
I mean, come on, buddy.
And then you bring in this guy. Let's just jam up the spacing even more.
Yeah, I mean, because the backup center from the Lakers was so good last year, right? When you stole their backup last year, unbelievable. I don't like this move at all. I actually like Andre Drummond. I think he's better than people give him credit for. I don't see why he'd want to go back up his arch nemesis.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean, I don't know what they did to this guy. And veterans minimum. If Nerlens Noel can get $10 million a year. Andre Drummond's only on 5. Unbelievable. Rudy Gay, 2 years, $12.1 million. Jazz. I think it helps. Not an overpay. What do you think?
They needed size and defense. We've seen that in the Clipper series.
He's not that good a defender, though, do you think?
I mean, he's better than Joe Ingles and Bogdanovich at this point.
Yeah, but so am I. I mean, and I'm only 6
They
feet tall.
needed something in that Clipper series because the Clippers realized it, and they're like, oh, we can just run around these guys and just go attack the big guy.
Yeah.
You needed some help for Gobert.
All right. Yeah, I don't hate it. And it's $6 million a year. I mean, you're telling me he can't get $10 million a year? He must have really fallen off. We didn't watch a lot of Spurs though towards the end of the year though, Tyler. To be fair, we had kind of crossed them off our list. So Laurie Marketing, we had talked about earlier, a 7-footer is only 24 years old and can shoot. Surprised there's not more demand for him. Is that just because he is a god awful defender?
I think so. I think he ends up a Minnesota Timberwolf.
Do you think he fits in well there?
I think that's probably his best fit. I mean, I see Detroit on this list. I don't think that would be a bad spot to give Cade another guy to kick the ball to.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, him and Cat as your front court, they can literally just go both and just spread the whole entire floor. So if the other team has a big man with stone feet, good luck guarding those two guys because they're just going to drag you out to the 3 line.
Yeah. I personally like Marketing. I was hoping the Kings would make a run for him. So we will see how that
Seeing
goes.
the Thunder on this list, he does rub me as one of them guys. The Thunder would be like, we'll take that guy and sit on him for a few years and then trade him.
And I actually don't mind that because he's 24 years old. So it's like, what's Shea, 23? I mean, you can't tell me he's not in your timeline.
Yeah.
So
after you just gave Shea $207 million.
Yeah. I mean, pretty nice payday for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Patty Mills headed to the Nets. Huge deal. I mean, talk about, those are ones that like make me, as much as all those Lakers moves, and I know that we talked about them being good, I think this is better than any of the Lakers moves. What do you think?
I think it's probably the more talented of the guys, but man, did they have to spend for this guy. I mean, I know it says 2 years, $12 million, but their luxury tax went from $90 million to $125 million just signing him to that deal. So I think that's why they're being a little hesitant on signing free agents.
Well, I mean, they're done. They just got to get these cheap guys. But hey, Patty Mills at $6 million a year. She can shoot the ball, can defend, and most of all, he's not going to shoot you out of the game when he's playing bad. He's got a great feel for I'm on today. Let me fire these up. Wait, my shot's not there. Let me get the rest of these guys involved. You're paying for you're paying for the IQ there, and you got to steal. You got to absolute steal. I would have given this guy $12 million a year. So I think this is one of the best moves of all of free agency. Robin Lopez heads down to the Magic. I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, it's just he's just there. He's just replacing Vucevic's minutes.
I actually kind of like the Magic's moves though. Who they had? They added Suggs and Wagner.
Yeah.
I like Suggs at least. Furkan Korkmaz, 3 years, $15 million to return to the Sixers. Does that mean anything to you?
I mean, they had to keep some shooting with all the big men they want to add, so
yeah,
that's about it.
Another guy that they can shoot, and that's his only thing he can do. The next one, so I put this on Twitter last night as a joke, and then the answer I got was Schrader. But I said, is Victor Oladipo going to get the Latrell Sprewell Memorial, worst contract extension rejection? And my idea that he turned down it was like a 3-year max deal from the Pacers.
Yep.
This year, I'm not hearing anybody linked to him.
And now the Knicks are going to give him that last $8 million of cap space that they have, and be like,
for
here,
$8 million.
He's got.
He turned down like $30-something million a year to get $8 million for 1 year on a middling franchise. I'm not trying to talk down on your franchise, but let's be honest, they're going to be first round, second round next year. They're not. It's not like you're taking $8 million to be on the Nets, the Lakers, the Suns, the Bucks. I mean, a team that would actually contend here. Yeah, unbelievable here what they did with Victor Oladipo. So, all right, enjoy him. I actually think he could play well for you. I mean, $8 million. I would take a flyer on him.
Yeah, I mean,
even
for $8 million.
Yeah,
I'll take the flyer.
Yeah, I mean, seems like a Thibodeau guy, but with those injury concerns, I can wonder how fast he's going to run him into the ground. Next up, Bobby Portis, 2 years, $9 million to go back to the Bucks. I will take that. That's fine. Danny Green is still a free agent. He's linked to the Lakers, Heat, and Sixers. Where do you think Danny Green ends up, and do you think he helps the team he goes to?
I think he's going back to the purple and gold. He's going
You
on a
think so?
vet minimum deal. Yep. I think all them guys are looking at that team like, oh, free ring. I could just go back here and win another one.
If you're ring chasing, you would really go to LA and not Brooklyn, though?
As of right now, yes.
Wow.
With the
Wow.
bench,
I would much rather if you said, hey, this is your last chance, you're gonna not even play. You're the 15th guy. You just show up in the thing and hang out front row. I think I'd have a better chance of getting a ring on the Nets.
My worry there is how do they if that match that everyone thought that matchup was going to happen this year.
Right.
Let's say we get it next year.
Yeah.
They still don't have anybody to guard AD.
Nobody has anybody to guard AD.
Except for
nobody
Milwaukee.
in the NBA. Yeah, that's true. I actually like the Milwaukee matchup with the Lakers. I remember thinking that when we talked to it. I would just go in the same one, though. Who's guarding Kevin Durant? Nobody. Nobody. Don't give me LeBron, because 2018 LeBron couldn't guard him, and now he's 3 years older. And KD torched him in those finals when he was MVP. So I'll take KD over AD.
I don't know about that. Give me a healthy AD right there. In that
that's
matchup,
the thing.
too.
That's the thing, though.
if he's healthy coming into that matchup, give me AD all day, because he's just going to dominate them. We watch Giannis score 40 points against them every game.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have a Russ mentality Lakers team coming at you. Yeah. Give me AD in that matchup.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see it. And I think this is going to be something we will be revisiting many times this season. I mean, they got to put Lakers Nets on Christmas Day, right?
They have to.
Yeah. Right. That's what we want to see. So fantastic. Alec Burks came back to your Knicks, 3 years, $30 million. I mean, to me, that's just like,
he was the one shooter on the team last year, so you had to bring him back.
But at 3 years, $30 million, to me, that's just like you're an average player. To me, that's just like almost like you're filling in DraftKings. It's like the exact amount that doesn't change your available remaining. It's just where each player should be on the cap. So I think that's a pretty good deal here. Kelly Olynyk on the Pistons. What do you think of that, Tyler?
I mean, just another toy for Cade Cunningham to get some assists off of. I don't think it pushes him into the playoffs or anything.
Yeah, I like Olynyk a lot personally. I think he's a pretty good player. I think he does a lot to help your team win. And when you're in a position like Detroit where you're just trying to make the playoffs, like those defensive deficiencies, they don't matter as much.
Yeah.
Right? You're just trying to make the playoffs. So even if Olynyk gets hunted in the first round, okay, we'll deal with it there. But at least we're dealing with it with the satisfied fan base, with the income coming in from hosting those playoff games, right? And knowing that we're heading in the right direction. And I think that's what Olynyk gets you. I think it's a good signing. I know that some Pistons fans were not happy with it. I don't think they realize the caliber of play they're getting. So I like Kelly Olynyk to the Pistons. TJ McConnell goes back to the Pacers. That means absolutely nothing to me, except for maybe that, well, now we know why they traded Aaron Holiday. I mean, Does that mean anything? Okay, cool. Let's just move on. Reggie Bullock on the Mavericks. Now, there's a shooter that was good for you guys. I think this is a good pickup for the Mavericks. I think this sucks for the Knicks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think bad loss for the Knicks, but great pickup for the Mavs. Great 3-and-D guy. I mean, we seen he was the guy that went after Trae Young in a matchup every time.
Yeah, and he was the guy that got hot and kept me from having a mohawk.
Yep.
So I think that's a great signing there for the Dallas Mavericks. Kendrick Nunn. Now, this one kind of pissed me off because I like to root against the Lakers. Sorry, Jonathan Nelson, but I do. This is a good pickup.
Yep.
I mean,
great guard off the bench. You maybe even plug him into the starting lineup if you need to. Brings you a scoring punch.
Yeah. Especially if German Blondie leaves town. I would rather have Kendrick Nunn than Dennis Schrader anyways.
I agree, but if you can have them both, why not?
Yeah, good point. All right, so yeah, I thought that was a sneaky good pickup there. I'm surprised Riley would let him go, especially at those numbers. 2 years, $10 million. Yeah, give me $5 million for Kendrick Nunn a year. Unbelievable. Terrence Davis. Now they didn't resign. They don't have this on here, but I thought that he resigned with the Kings.
I think he did.
Yeah, so real GM's a little slow on that. Absolutely whatever. It's a Kings. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
It doesn't
he's
matter to
not
the
like an
standings.
impact
It
player.
doesn't matter to anything. Have fun drafting the 7th pick next year. Paul Millsap is still an available free agent. Hawks, Nuggets, and Warriors. I think he helps all three. If it's not more than $8 million a year, right?
Yeah, just go back to the Hawks and have the old reunion. That's about
Yeah.
it for me on
Hey,
that one.
go play with Coach Bud. They could use him. Jeff Green's coming back to the Nuggets. Oh, not coming back. Jeff Green left the Nets to go to the Nuggets. How do you think that helps them?
I mean, I think it gives them another body for the Nuggets to throw out there on their bench unit. And this hurts the Nets because there goes one of their bench guys that they used in the playoffs to help score points. And I'm pretty sure they lost Landry Shaman too, or they're close to losing him.
Landry Shaman is now on the Suns. He got traded for the 29th pick.
I thought he got traded.
And that was a good pick, too. Who was it? Oh, it was one of those guards.
Cam Thomas, score. I believe.
Yeah. Tell me that isn't good for the Nets, where like all you're doing is coming in for 15 minutes to do one role, and that's basically not to let the lead get worse, right?
We'll
I mean, that's all you're trying to do.
Young guy performs in the playoffs because we all know Brooklyn's going to be deep in the playoffs next year.
But he's not even going to get minutes at that point. He's a regular season guy. He's a regular season microwave, and that's it. And then when the rotation gets shortened, like look at what Milwaukee did, right? I mean, they were going to 7-man rotation there, right?
So, yeah, but they had some injuries, so I think that would have been a 9-man rotation if it weren't for those injuries.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't because I wouldn't have cashed my ticket. Fucking Budenholzer. All right. Let's go ahead. Torrey Craig to the Pacers. That's nothing. Corey Joseph back to the Pistons. Whoop-de-doo. Georgie Deng to the Hawks. Does that mean anything?
Just another toy for Trae Young to throw alley-oops too. He could shoot a couple threes here and there.
Doesn't mean a lot. I think this next two are going to be fun to talk about. Actually, next three are going to be fun to talk about. Bazemore and Carmelo to the Warriors. And now you said before we went on, right? The stat, what is it, 3 or 4, 40%?
4 of these guys that the Lakers signed all shot 40% from 3 last year.
Yeah, I mean, all the Russ criticism, we can just throw it out the window, right? Because
that was my biggest thing when they made that trade. I'm like, how are you going to space these guys out? Well, they said, here, we'll up you with that, and we'll just go sign all the 3-point shooters not named Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, and like Wayne Ellington, I mean, what a great pickup. Carmelo,
I think that was the best pickup of them all for them.
Oh, I think so too. I think he's really good for a role, right? I mean, like he doesn't help the Kings or the Pistons become a winning team, but he fits the role on a playoff or a championship team. Carmelo, does he got anything left? Like, if I'm Mr. Lakers hater, am I happy they signed Carmelo, or is that just a wash?
He'll bring you some scoring off the bench. You don't want to run him like 38 minutes out there.
Well, no,
he's still not a great defender.
No, he's terrible.
But, I mean, he can torch some second units for you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I kind of think it's
everyone wants to say that mid range is dead, but I mean, Phoenix drove their way to the finals on that mid range jumper.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the big shots in the playoffs were mid-range shots. Chris Middleton, same deal, right?
Yep, and plus, like when your offense breaks down, I mean, you can kind of throw him the ball and just be like, "Go get a bucket." He'll catch the ball in the mid-range, give you a couple jab steps, and just shoot right over you.
Not to mention the other players like him. So,
and a lot of these younger players on their team probably grew up idolizing him. So now they have 2 of their idols on the same team, LeBron and Melo.
Yeah. Jonathan Nelson, Melo will be good off the bench. I completely agree, Jonathan. I completely agree. Jonathan, we have fun with this. I root against your team. No hard feelings. I like you. But I got to say, buddy, I think your team did pretty well.
They did really well.
I don't think rooting against the Lakers is going to be good for my health this year, Jonathan. I think you guys are going to win a lot of games. What a bunch of great pickups. Otto Porter goes to the Warriors. I think this is fantastic. Fits perfectly to me. What do you think?
Yeah, great 3-and-D guy. Bet on himself, basically, to get this money with the Warriors because now he's looking for that big contract next year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think he's a nice fit off the bench for them. Him and Jordan Poole will bring you an extra scoring punch in.
It's sneaky. He's only 28, man. He's only 28. He could definitely do good and still get a big deal of his 29 to 33 years. So I thought that was a great pickup. A guy that I wanted for the Warriors who will not return is Batum. Obviously helps the Clippers. He re-signed there. I don't have an idea on the numbers, but they're capped anyways. So I don't even really know if it matters. And Malik Monk, gosh, the Lakers just keep getting better, man.
I think this is their second best signing because I think people don't realize how good this kid really is.
He's good. And you know what? He shows why you don't give up on these guys too early. Because how terrible did he look his first couple years?
Yep. He's still
And now I'd want him on my team. In fact, if the Kings didn't have like a complete log jam, I would have been like beating the drum to sign him. Unfortunately, why would he go here to number one lose and number one be behind other players? You know, so we'll answer some questions. We already went over this, but we'll talk again. The Bulls roster, Tyler, we like it, right? We think they make great moves.
We like it. They definitely punch their ticket to the playoffs next year, but
I agree so too.
Outside of that, I'm not sure how much damage they do in the playoffs. I think they'll still have some troubles defending.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
We've all seen Zach LaVine going hot and cold streaks. If he goes cold, I mean, that team's going to lose some games.
And we've talked about it before that you can get away being a weaker perimeter defender, but it's so hard to hide a weak rim protecting center.
Yep.
Right? Like I can hide Steph. I can hide Dame. I can hide Trae Young. I can do these things. I can't hide Jokic. I can't hide, these all offense centers, Towns, right? I mean, they just get worked. So that's my concern there with Vukovic and their playoff ceiling. But I think the team's improved. I bet the Bulls under their preseason total the last 3 or 4 years. This will be the first year that, unless they set the number ridiculously high, I will be going over. And if it's anything minus 140 or less, I'll bet Bulls to make the playoffs. Yes. Trent says Lakers are going to have to rely a ton on AD on defense. Yeah, and obviously that's a smart thing to do. The thing is, does the guy want to do it? I mean, that's one thing that I've always held against AD. He's the best at center, but he doesn't want to play center.
They said there was a meeting at LeBron's house before that trade went down with those three, and they basically talked it over. Yeah, you're going to play more center. LeBron's going to play more power forward, and we're going to bring in Russ to play point guard. So, I mean, if they all three sat down and had that conversation, I think we see it more this year.
And that's why sometimes it's important for these young players that are just told how good they are their whole life to get with someone who's better than them that will tell them what's up, right? Because DeMarcus Cousins, or that's not a good example. Drew Holiday's not going to get AD to play more center, right? He's just not going to listen to him, right?
Or if LeBron walks in the room and he's like, you're going to play more center and I'm going to play more power forward. He's like, well, you're going to take my position. I guess I have to play center.
Yeah, he's going to do it. So once again, I mean, I hate doing it because the guy annoys me, but shows the greatness of LeBron James once again. Let's go here. One more comment about the Bulls. You know what? Everyone talks about DeMar struggling on his threes. Man, I don't care. We got Zoe, Zach, Vooch at the line. Perfect fit. Yeah, I think DeMar DeRozan is going to fit a lot too. And the other thing DeMar DeRozan gives you, Tyler, is he gives you that winning experience, right? Gives you the guy to slow things down, right? Let Zach get 35, 36. You know what I hated about Zach? And it wasn't as bad this year, but why I would always bet the Bulls under the year before and bet against them on a short spread.
Because he starts
his shot selection
threes
at the end of the game was terrible. Yeah, let me get DeMar to get a high percentage too there. Okay, let Zach give me 36 and then put it over. Let's see some Chris Middleton action out of you. You're not the best player on the team, but you might be taking the biggest shot. So yeah, that's our thoughts on the Bulls and the Lakers. Rodney Hood's on the Bucks. Whoop-de-doo. Dwight Howard's back on the Lakers. Gosh, did they just sign everybody while I was out hiking? I go on one hike.
They got Trevor Ariza,
have a little trail mix, chill in the river. I come back and the whole league signed with the Lakers.
You know about the Trevor Ariza one, right?
Yeah, I think that one happened last night, so I knew about that one. Okay, I actually personally don't like that. I think he's done. What do you think? I think Ariza's washed.
5 to 10 minutes. I think he can hit you 2 threes, maybe.
Yeah, I guess it's just
bit of a break.
His whole idea is a 3-and-D guy. Too. Yeah. Now he's just a 3 and I don't know what
maybe
else.
A little bit of defense.
Not a lot. He wasn't that good on Miami. I'll tell you that much. So
this is one of them. This is one of them weird spots where it's like we all call Russ not a great defender. Mm-hmm. We're kind of calling Ariza he's pretty much done with defense. I feel like this is gonna be one of the things we see all these guys come in and they have like rejuvenated energy on the defensive end, you're going to
When
see
you only
Russ
play
like
10 minutes a game,
chasing
you
the
better
ball
be
around.
rejuvenated.
Yeah, like Ariza's going to come in. It's going to be like, oh, this looks like Ariza from 5 years ago.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Sunshine, beautiful girls. I mean, I don't even want to know what those guys' Instagram's like right now. Justice Winslow, still available. Where do you think he'd be a good fit?
I've never been big on this guy, so I mean,
I was huge. I thought he was going to be great. He just can't stay healthy, so it's just a chance to get some minutes here. I think he's got to go to a lottery team. I think he's got to go to like the Kings, where he's going to get run. I mean,
they're saying the only team interested in him is Memphis, so
wow.
It's either Memphis or probably sitting in the free agents until somebody gets hurt.
Well, I mean, what a decline for the guy that
he'll probably take his qualifying offer at the end of free agency.
Yeah. Bryn Forbes, he can shoot, but we noticed the Bucks got a lot better in the finals when he hit the bench. Where do you think he goes, and how much money would you pay for him?
I mean, maybe give him $5 to $10 million a year. I wouldn't give him much more than that.
I still think he's fine for regular season minutes.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the Nets on this list after signing Patty Mills, I don't think they do it. I don't think the Bulls do it. He'd probably be the fourth or fifth guard in Cleveland's rotation, so I don't think they do it.
Mm-mm.
Neither will Dallas. So, I mean,
I think Dallas is the best spot.
But do you really want him there? I mean, you have Luka.
He's only going to play 10 or 15 minutes.
You have Jalen Brunson. It's like you have guys that can play those minutes.
Yeah, he's a shooter, though.
Yeah, but
I want to put a bunch of shooters next to Luka.
I think Milwaukee brings him back. I think they're just going to look at it and be like, well, we lost Tucker. Let's just bring back all of our other champions.
Too bad they're so cheap. They won't even bring back PJ Tucker. Unbelievable. Well, I got to talk to Title. JJ Reddick, 37 years old. Is he even worth it anymore? He didn't really do much for Dallas.
He didn't, but he also didn't want to be there.
Where does he want to be? Podcasting with us?
Well, he said not demanded that trade from New Orleans when they said they were going to trade him. And they were like, all right, give us your destinations. He was like, either trade me to Boston, Philadelphia, or New York, because he wanted to be in that little area because he does work for The Ringer and does his podcast. Mm-hmm. And they turned around and said, no, you're going to Dallas. So I think he was just fed up from the moment he walked in the door and he didn't want to be there. The Lakers are rumored on him, so wouldn't surprise me if he swoops in with like a 1-year vet minimum deal to come off their bench.
Yeah, if he does, I agree with Jonathan Nelson. I don't think he'll get much playing time. So, yeah, as good a shooter as he is, right? I mean, Jimmy Fredette was a great shooter too, but you have to be able to do some other things there. Austin Rivers is back with the Nuggets. Good for them. Lou Williams is a free agent. I think he helps the team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he does. I'd really love to see him on the Warriors, but I think the Hawks just bring him back as their backup guard. After what they see him do in the playoffs, they're going to be like, yeah, we need that guy off the bench.
The only thing is they added Sharif Cooper, and then who was the other player they added?
Jalen Johnson.
But he's not a guard. I'm talking about they added a guard. What's the trade that didn't go through? Oh, they were supposed to get our guy, DeLon Wright, weren't they? Or was he on Boston? How did that trade all end up?
Boston.
Anyways, the trade didn't happen. So, as of right now, Tristan Thompson is not on us, thank God. I mean, how do you trade for Tristan Thompson in 2021?
Yeah, that was bad.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Trading for Tristan Thompson in 2021. It's like putting Kim Kardashian on your magazine cover. Like, no one wants to see this, bro. Like, that was 10 years ago. Andre Iguodala probably ends up back with the Warriors. Ben McLemore agrees to sign with the Blazers. Does that mean anything?
Nah, it's just another guy for him to bring off the bench and chuck threes.
Zach Collins has agreed to be on the Spurs injured reserve list for the next 3 years.
Yep, they just paid him money to be hurt for the next 3 years.
What a life. Nemanja Bjelica on the Warriors. I liked him here in Sacramento. I think that's a great move. I think he's a great regular season backup that comes in, gets points, and just allows your lead to not get dwindled as you give up.
Yeah, he'll be great. He'll be great to stand in the corner while Steph and them are all working their magic and they kick it over.
That's how he likes to play.
Yep, he just can kind of float into the open spots and they find him and he just hits the three. I think that's a perfect fit for him.
All right. Well, Tyler, if you want to keep scrolling down, I don't really see a lot of the guys here left that would even matter. Like Garrett Temple, right? I mean, he's going to play what?
Yeah, I mean, scrolling through these names, I really don't see anybody that really matters either. I mean, Yeah, I mean, Frank Ntilikina really doesn't mean anything to a team. Walu Cabra ends up at.
How did Real GM put Wayne Ellington at
Elfrid Payton, the starter
106?
for the.
Wayne Ellington should have been like 40 on this list.
I mean, yeah, I agree.
That's just ridiculous.
Elfrid Payton, the Knicks starting point
He's
guard.
below Enes Kanter. Like, you have to be kidding me. He's below Isaiah Thomas. You're telling me you'd rather have Isaiah Thomas in 2021 than Wayne Ellington? Unbelievable.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah, Jonathan Nelson, I saw that we got Alex Len. I mean, I don't even know. What does that mean? Kyle Guy's a free agent.
Went to the Bucks. I think that could be not like a sneaky, really good signing, but like he's a great energy player off the bench.
Oh, let's tag JT Hayes. Tony Snell's on the Blazers now.
Yep, I seen that. Man kept his job. He just moved to a different city.
Taj Gibson, 36 years old, coming back to the Knicks. What do you think of that?
I seen somebody post online. It was like the Knicks depth chart, and it had centers listed. And it was like Mitchell Robinson. I forget who the other name was, and then it was like blank, blank. And then somebody quote tweeted it was like, "I fixed that for you," and they wrote in Taj Gibson. They were right because he just re-signed. Everyone knew he wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah,
he just loves New York so much. He's like, "I'll come back for $2 million."
It's so funny just scrolling through here, and then at one they have Semi Ojeleye at 189 behind Nate Darling. I mean, come on. I know he's not good, but who the heck is Nate Darling? You're telling me Cristiano Felicio is better than Semi Ojeleye? Unbelievable. Tyler Johnson. I remember I used to like him, but this is probably right for him to be on this list. Yeah, at this point, I think we're just seeing a bunch of guys that will not come back. So, hey, that was a lot of fun talking about free agency. Normally, we give out bets, guys, but with the way things went, we don't really have lines for like futures that we would attack. But I'll tell you what, I wrote an article yesterday about the Lakers, and they were plus 300, and the Nets were plus 250 on Bovada at that time. I don't think they're even up right now. I think they took them down.
Here, I'll check. What do you think? See if we have odds.
Yeah, what do you think of those prices? I thought the plus 300 was too much, but that was before they added 4 shooters.
Yeah, I mean, if we're getting them at 3-1 or better, I think it's worth a shot. Because everyone's going to want to bet the Nets.
Yeah, I mean, I do too, but I'm just not betting.
Even I wanted to bet the Nets before all the Lakers news happened. Yeah. I just figured the Nets would just pound everybody come next year and just walk right through them. But
I still kind of do. I still like that full strength Nets team over the full strength Lakers team. So, but like I said, it's just I don't think LeBron's the same player that he was 2 to 3 years ago, and I think that I like KD more than AD. But if AD beats him, right, that's not the craziest thing in the world. It's not like, not like I would feel stupid for getting that wrong, you know. So
it's like the third best player in the world beating the first best player. It's like, it happens every once in a while.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just like, you know, it's a game. You know, these guys sometimes they lose. So, all right, Tyler. Well, that was a lot of fun. Probably going to be pretty quiet on the NBA front from here on out, huh?
We got Summer League starting next week.
Oh, we're going to do Summer League rundown?
We don't have to do Summer League rundown, but I'll probably have some picks on the sheet.
Okay, well, we'll have picks on the sheet, but I was just talking from a content perspective. Tyler and I will probably be dark until I would say October, unless we might do an emergency show. Like, let's say some huge trade happens, right? Like, you know, if we wake up tomorrow and Ben Simmons is on the Lakers or Bradley Beal's on the Warriors, right? Who else is big that's supposed to be traded? Is there any other big names that are on the trade market? Beal, Simmons.
Not that I can think of right now. Just those two.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So if some crazy breaking news happens that flips the odds crazy, we'll jump on and we'll talk about it. Even if we don't place a bet, we'll give you like our thoughts on that. But other than that, we'll probably be back not until October for season previews. And we'll go by division. We'll give out division winning picks. Those seem to go pretty well this year. You know, we'll give out futures odds. We'll talk MVP, Rookie of the Year, which is going to be a great race this year. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Just with normal
I'll be on that one.
Şengün, right?
Yeah.
So those of you who don't know, if you haven't been watching, I'm really big on Şengün. Tyler's really big on Jalen Green. So imagine our surprise on draft day when they ended up on the same team. We're going to
When
be
they
showing
made the
up.
trade up, I was like, oh God. I was like, they're
Yes,
going to be on the same team. And then they
I was
they
so
said his
hyped.
name.
So
I know you just started laughing like I did.
I was so awesome, and I said, now we can wear Rockets jerseys on the first NBA rundown for next year as we're placing all our. I think they make the playoffs, dude. I love this team. I love this team. Jalen Green, KPJ, Christian Wood. Silas is a good coach. He just got dealt a bad hand last year. Let's wait to see him work. Then he got told to bench all his best guys towards the end of the year. Makes sense. Ended up with Jalen Green. This is my favorite little sleeper team. Just like the Hornets were my sleeper team last year, and everyone laughed. I don't know if people will laugh because they got the big names, but the Rockets will be my sleeper team this year. So, guys, for the content, we will be back tomorrow around this time, probably a little later. JJ most likely be on. Susie maybe will be on, and we'll be doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the tennis content around this time, around 8 to 9 Eastern. We did 8 yesterday. We might push it back a little bit because like 5 minutes after we went off, the DraftKings lineups came up. So we might push it back a little bit, and that way she can give you a better idea of what the potential build will be for those of you guys who are joining me in the journey transitioning from National Basketball Association to betting some tennis until the NFL starts. And Tyler, do you want to tell everyone about all the NFL content you're going to have coming up?
Yeah, it's actually starting tonight. Jay are going to break down the NFC East and the AFC East right after we get off of here. We're going to do them pre-recorded and then upload them after JJ's done with his live show at 10. So they'll be up for everyone. But basically breaking down all the teams where we think they're going to finish, some player props, some futures. It's going to be interesting to see which sides we all take because we both know we're going to disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So I can't wait to see that. I'll be looking forward to watching that content tonight. Jonathan Nelson talked about the best bet that Susie and I gave out yesterday. Still has yet to start. If you're not on it, I'm on Danielle Collins this evening. So, hey, this is going to be fantastic. We'll have tennis content tomorrow. You guys will have content on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed. So when that video with Tyler and Jay comes out tonight, you're able to watch it right away. Do you want access to these picks on the sheet that he's talking about, these Summer League picks, these Summer League winners that he's going to give out? Head on over to runpurebets.com. Use the promo code. What is our promo code right now? Oh, I knew it yesterday. Bets 25.
Bets? Oh, Bets 25.
Bets 25 off. Bets 25 off. Bets 25 off. Let's do this again. Head on over to Run Pure Bets. Use the promo code Bets 25 off. You'll have access to Tyler's plays, my plays, JJ's plays, the Sports Keg plays, Score with D's plays, Joey Works plays, and occasionally the Facts Man. Thank you everybody for hanging out and